गुण गोविंद गायो नहीं, गुण गोविंद गायो नहीं, जन्म अकारथ कीन, कहो नानक हर भज मना, जिह विद जल को मीन, जिह विद जल को मीन। गुण गोविंद गायो नहीं, गुण गोविंद गायो नहीं, जन्म अकारथ कीन, कहो नानक हर भज मना, जिह विद जल को मीन, जिह विद जल को मीन। बिखियन स्यों काहे रचियो, निमख न होए उदास, कहो नानक भज हर मना, पर न जम की पास। तरना पो यूं ही गयो, तरना पो यूं ही गयो, लियो जरा तन जीत, कहो नानक भज हर मना, औद जात है बीत, औद जात है बीत। बिरद पयो सूझे नहीं, काल पहुँच्यो आन, कहो नानक नर बावरे, क्यों न पदे भगवान। तन दारा संपत सगल, तन दारा संपत सगल, जिन अपनी करमान, इनमें कछ संगी नहीं, नानक साची जान, नानक साची जान। पतत उदाहरण में हरम, हर अनाथ के नाथ, कहो नानक तेह जानिए, सदा बस्त तुम साथ। तन तन जे तो को दियो, तन तन जे तो को दियो, तास्यो नेह न कीन, कहो नानक नर बावरे, अब क्यों डोलत दीन, अब क्यों डोलत दीन। तन तन संपै सुख दियो, अर जहनी के ताम, कहो नानक सुन रे मना, सिमरत काहे ना राम। सब सुख दाता राम है, सब सुख दाता राम है। दूसर नाहिन कोय, कहो नानक सुन रे मना। तेहि सिमरत गत होए, तेहि सिमरत गत होए। जेह सिमरत गत पाए, तेह भजरे तै मीत। कहो नानक सुन रे मना, औध कटत है नीत। पांच तत्व को तन रचियो, पांच तत्व को तन रचियो। जानो चतुर सुजान, जेत उपजो नानका। लीन ताहे मैं मान, लीन ताहे मैं मान। कट कट में हर जू बसै, संतन कहे पुकार। कहो नानक तेह भज मना, पौ निध उतरै पार। सुख दुख जे परसै नहीं, सुख दुख जे परसै नहीं। लोभ मोह अभिमान, कहो नानक सुन रे मना। सुमूरत भगवान, सुमूरत भगवान। उस्तत निंदिया नाहि जे, कंचन लोह समान। कहो नानक सुन रे मना, मुक्त ताहे तै जान। हरख सोग जागे नहीं, हरख सोग जागे नहीं। बैरी मीत समान, कहो नानक सुन रे मना। मुक्त ताहे तै जान, मुक्त ताहे तै जान। हरख सोग जाके नहीं, हरख सोग जाके नहीं। बैरी मीत समान, कहो नानक सुन रे मना। मुक्त ताहे तै जान, मुक्त ताहे।
सतगुर है रंगरी चुनर मेरी रंग डारी। सतगुरु है रंगरेज चुनर मेरी रंग लारी स्याही रंग छड़ाए के रे देओ में जीठा रंग तो ऐसे छूटे नहीं रे दिन दिन होते सुरंग सतगुरु है रंगरेज चुनर मेरी रंग लारी पाव के कुंड नह के जल में प्रेम रंग दई बोर
Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to today's Satsang. Today we will start our schedule with a Sabbath by Anonymous. Where else can my mind find endless joy? Then we have a talk by Michael and a talk by Dr. Chand. Topic is understanding multi-level dreams in a dream. Then we will meditate for 5 minutes and we will watch Master's video on YouTube. And then we will meditate all together with love and devotion. Thank you so much. We can start.
Radha Swami to all. Poem by Surdas. He says, where else but in you can I find true joy? Where else can my mind find endless joy? Like a bird that soars away from a ship in the ocean, only to return. Like having seen his lotus eyes, one still goes looking elsewhere. Like a thirsty man who ignores the mighty Ganga and digs a well for water like a fool. Having tasted the sweet nectar of lotus, why should a bee go for a bitter fruit? Surdas says, when the holy Kamdhenu herself is available, why would one milk a goat? Where else can my mind find endless joy, like a bird that soars away from a ship in the ocean only to return? Now the poem is मेरो मन अनत कहाँ सुख पावे, मेरो मन अनत कहाँ सुख पावे, जैसे उड़ी जहाज को पंछी फिर जहाज पर आवे, फिर जहाज पर आवे, मेरो मन अनत कहाँ सुख पावे, कमल नयन को छाड़ी महात्म और देव को ध्यावे, परम गंग को छाड़ी प्यासो दुर्मति कोप खड़ावे, दुर्मति कोप खड़ावे, मेरो मन अनत कहाँ सुख पावे, जिने मधुकर अम्बुज रस चाख्यो क्यों करील फल भावे, सूरदास प्रभु काम धेनु तजी, सूरदास प्रभु काम धेनु तजी, छेरी कौन दुहावे, छेरी कौन दुहावे, मेरो मन अनत कहाँ सुख पावे, मेरो मन अनत कहाँ सुख पावे, जैसे उड़ी जहाज को पंछी फिर जहाज पर आवे, फिर जहाज पर आवे, मेरो मन अनत कहाँ सुख पावे, मेरो मन, मेरो मन, मेरो मन कहाँ सुख पावे, कहाँ सुख पावे, कहाँ सुख पावे। राधा स्वामी जी।
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Satsang. Welcome to our Holy Father, Ishwar Puri Ji. Welcome to the light of the saints, the love of the saints, and God and the kingdom of God. Yesterday, I was going to the store, and one of the Satsangis, a real good friend of mine, he just said, "Hello, Mike." And I haven't seen him in satsang for a long time, and we started talking. And sometimes life takes people away from satsang. And I was telling him, I can't imagine life without satsang. It will be tasteless. What is life without satsang, really? And really, the most important thing in our life is satsang, is to gather in the name of the Master, to watch the Master and live in the words of the Master, and just enjoy that love, that bliss, and all the blessings that come with it. So yes, what is life without satsang? It is tasteless. It's not worth living even. And I hope the grace of Master stays on us, that we will gather in His name every day. And every day we will grow our roots in God and the kingdom of God. Every day we will expand our consciousness and our awareness more and more till it becomes total. As you see in this world, it keeps changing. People in the beginning of the 1900s were still using the donkeys and the horses. Then the cars came, and then the airplanes came, and things keep on changing. And if you look at the investors, people who invest in this world, the worldly investors, they look at the mega trends. They look at the new trends that are going to change the old trends. Like the car came, the donkey went away, and they look what's going to change this life. For example, in the future there will be no more gas cars, it will be all electric cars. So this is like a mega trend. So people who invest money now, they invest right now in all the companies that do electrical cars. And if they invest there, then their money will triple or become 10 times more or 20 times more. In the same way, I was thinking that there is this mega trend inside of us that if we invest in our own self, that is going to change the way we live now. If we invest in the new mega trend, the godly mega trend inside of us, it's going to change our whole life. That it will be totally different. Just like the change from the donkey to the car, also we can learn how to walk with no legs, how to speak with no tongue, how to see with no eyes, and how to fly with no wings. That this is in us, and all what we have to do is invest in our inner self, invest in that mega trend, in that scalable, hyper scalable stock which God gave us. If we invest there, we are really going to become billionaires, and we are really going to become the richest. Is that we can change ourselves from living the life of the mind, body, and intellect into a totally different life called the life of the soul. The life of the soul the saints and masters say that it is a glorious life, that we can just be in any place that God created. In all the creation of Lord God, we can be wherever we want just by the power of, but just by thinking, we will be there. Just we have access to all the creation of Lord God, and we have access to all the heavens and all the spiritual planes and all the gifts of blessings and love and intoxication that God has put in us, that our life will be totally different than what it is now. And that gift has been given to us. And the only thing we have to do is just invest in it. And just like we invest in the outer world, we can invest also in our inner self. And how do we invest in our inner self? That is satsang, that is regular meditation, that is watching what we see, what we hear, and what comes out of our mouth. And that is by introspection, selfless service, and all the ways and means that the Master have prescribed to us, that if we just abide by his words and by his commandments, we are going to become wealthy. We are going to become really, really, really wealthy. And this way of living, the way of mind, body, and intellect will totally change. And we will start to be living on a much subtle, much higher, and much better lifestyle than what it is now. This is what keeps me going, and this is what keeps me investing in my inner self, in that inner treasure that God has placed in me. That Jesus said that the kingdom of God is at hand. Have it, enjoy it. That means it is very, very close. It is just one step inside, and we can really reap all that treasure, reap all that godly gifts that were placed in us. We can cash them. we can enjoy them, and we can change our life from whatever it is now to only joy, peace, fearfulness, and faith. Faith in the master power, faith in God, and knowing 100% that He is holding our hand in this life moment by moment by moment. That there is no moment where Master is not watching us, where Master is not with us. That way, when we live this world, this life in this world, it is good to always remember that Master is watching. Master is watching. What all our actions, all our thoughts, and all our deeds, it is the eyes of truth are watching moment by moment. So when we know that the King of Kings is watching us, then we can really try to behave the way he likes. Just always keep adding him and always use the present. Forget about the past and the future. It's not in our hand. But this present moment is totally in our hand, and we can use it to become rich by thinking of Master, by listening to the Holy Shabd, by remembering the moments, the contemplation, the dhyan of the Master, the moments we spent with the Total One. And that remembrance will just add to us all godly qualities and all his godly qualities and all his attributes and all his values will be added onto us. It will go directly in our godly bank account. So I wanted to read to you a little bit of Rumi, just words of treasure, words of wisdom that cannot be described. That really each sentence of Rumi, which is coming from the mouth of Satpursh, the mouth of God, each sentence can become a whole satsang by itself. Each sentence. We can, if we just take each sentence and think about it deeply, then it can become a long satsang. This is how much important every word that comes from the word mouth of a perfect master. Just when they asked our Holy Father Ishwar Puri Ji to write a book, and he said, I can only write just one page. And they asked him why, what is the one page? And he said, love, love. Even the word love, we can go on with satsang after satsang after satsang, just from one word. So let me read some delicious words coming from the mouth of the Total One, Maulana Rumi, who was here in the 1200s, and his poetry was unimaginable. So I will read just a few minutes and we can enjoy. I think I read this one, but I'll read it again. Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure. My dear heart, never think you are better than others. Listen to their sorrows with compassion. If you want peace, don't harbor bad thoughts. Do not gossip. And don't teach what you do not know. Don't feel lonely. The entire universe is inside you. The mind says there is nothing beyond the physical world. The heart says there is, and I've been there many times. Don't be sad because God sends hope in the most desperate moments. Don't forget the heaviest rain comes out of the darkest clouds. Isn't that so beautiful? Where the lips are silent, the heart has 1,000 tongues. Where the lips are silent, the heart has 1,000 tongues. Silence, silence is a secret. I'm saying that, not true. Silence is a secret. Whatever happens to you, don't fall in despair. Even if all the doors are closed, a secret path will be there for you that no one knows. Wow, I have to read that again so it will go into us. It will touch our heart. Words coming from the heart sink in the heart. Whatever happens to you, don't fall in despair. Even if all the doors are closed, a secret path will be there for you that no one knows. Master always has a way, especially for his children. We're all his children, but yeah, for the ones going back home. You can't see it yet, but so many paradises are at the end of this path. You can't see it yet, but there are many paradises at the end of this path. The path of the holy light and sound has many paradises at the end. But we have to reach the end. So we have to keep walking. In order to reach the end, we have to keep walking. Be grateful. It is easy to thank. Somebody has to be muted. Anoop, can you mute them? All right. Where was I? Okay. Be grateful. It is easy to thank after obtaining what you want. Thank before having what you want. Wow. Thank God before having what He gives us. Like if you want something, thank God before it comes to you. That is very beautiful. Silence gives answers. Silence gives answers. Be grateful for your life, every detail of it. Be grateful for your life, every detail of it, and your face will come to shine like a sun, and everyone who sees it will be made glad and peaceful. Wow. I have to read that again. That is so beautiful. Be grateful for your life, every detail. Be grateful for every detail in your life, and your face will come to shine like a sun, and everyone who sees it will be made glad and peaceful. So every detail in our life, every second, every moment, we have to be grateful. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. Thank you, God. Thank you, Master. In every religion, there is love. Yet love has no religion. How about that? Love has no religion. You were born with potential. You were born with goodness and trust. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. How about that? Last night, I begged the wise one to tell me the secret of the world. Gently, gently, he whispered, "Be quiet. The secret cannot be spoken. It is wrapped in silence." Wow! The secret of the world is wrapped in silence. This is how much important silence is. Sorrow, oh, this is really nice one. Sorrow prepares you for joy. It violently sweeps everything out of your house so that new joy can find space to enter it. To enter, it shakes the yellow leaves from the bow of your heart so that fresh green leaves can grow in their place. Okay, let me read that again. Sorrow prepares you for joy. It violently sweeps everything out of your house so that new joy can find space to enter, it shakes the yellow leaves from the bow of your heart so that fresh green leaves can grow in their place. So sorrow and suffering is a blessing in disguise. It pulls the root, it pulls up the rotten roots so that new roots hidden beneath have room to grow. Whatever sorrow shakes from your heart, far better things will take their place. When love is not accepted, move on. When love is not appreciated, walk away. Hopefully, time will teach what true love is. Oh, I like this one. You don't live on earth, you are passing through it. You don't live on the earth, you are passing through it. We are only visitors here for a short time. While the mind sees only boundaries, love knows the secret way there. While the mind sees only boundaries, love knows the secret way there. There is no love for boundaries. No boundaries for love. What you are seeking is also seeking you. So Father God is seeking us. Mother God is seeking us. I said, what about my eyes, God? I said, what about my eyes? God said, keep them on the road. I said, what about my passion? God said, keep it burning. I said, what about my heart? God said, tell me what you hold inside it. I said, pain and sorrow. He said, stay with it. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Isn't that gorgeous? Listen to this again. The wound is the place where the light enters you. When we are wounded, when our heart gets wounded, that's the doorway to the light. I thought that was just delicious, delicious poetry. Many of the faults you see in others, dear reader, are your own nature reflected in them. Wow. So when we criticize others, we are just criticizing ourselves. We are seeing our own faults reflected in them. Here, I'll read that again. Many of the faults you see in others, dear reader, are your own nature reflected in them. Find the sweetness in your own heart. Then you may find the sweetness in every heart. Find the sweetness in your own heart. Then you will find the sweetness in every heart. I love that too. Oh my God. I can read that forever. If you want money more than anything, you will be bought and sold your whole life. How about that? Thank you, Rumi. Thank you, Master, for this. I will continue on. There is another 2 episodes of Rumi. So now I welcome Dr. Chand. And before Dr. Chand speaks, there is somebody sent me a question directed towards Dr. Chand. So Dr. Chand can answer the question. Dr. Chand, are you listening?
I'm listening, my dear.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay. So this question somebody sent me and he said, ask Dr. Chand. And it says, Dr. Chand, I don't want to take the vaccine. I believe in my immune system that God gave me. Now the government is forcing us before we travel to get vaccinated. What is the godly way to deal with this situation? How do I act in a godly manner?
Okay, I'll reply to this that the situation for the whole world is like that. And a lot of scholars have worked on it. And let us agree to them. As Nanak says, that he says that ek ne kahi, dusre ne mani. Nanak kahe, dono gyani. Means if somebody says and if you agree to that, so all of them are really wise who understand. I add some more things to that. You know, एक ने कही दूसरे ने मानी, नानक कहे चारों ज्ञानी. The two fellows, maybe an officer who's talking about this, and the person concerned, and the people who are listening. So now I think we got to abide by the laws. These are the laws of this country, you know, of this earth now at the moment. So there are laws of nature, we got to adjust with them. So I think I got it on 9th, my first injection, my first vaccine. And now they have asked me to come on 5th of April to get the second one so that we can very freely travel, because this will be like a passport, you know. So all these formalities are there, and you know that you are not this body. You are not this mind. You are a soul, and you are connected to the absolute in real time. So you have got all those energies which are protecting you. Don't worry, just go ahead. It won't bother you anything, you know. Even if your immune system is better, but they are doing it for the purpose that rest of the people who get in contact with you should not get that. So it is just a notion, you know. You may be fine, you may be very well. You know, when I got a little bit of fever, uh, you know, it was there for about 5-6 days. It was about 100, you know, less than 100. But I got into seclusion. I quarantined myself for a month in my room, and I had no symptoms at all, nothing of the kind, except that little fever. And the immune system was great, and we could go through that. So, I think you should not worry about it. The question is answered, and they should not worry and abide by the laws of the country. Thank you very much for this. Now let us talk on the subject which we decided today. Now, again, this subject is again giving you a hint towards that. So today's topic is multi-level dreams in a dream. So even getting this vaccination, please take it as a dream. I think that will be something good. Take it as a dream. So nothing to worry about. Now let us talk about this understanding multi-level dreams in a dream. Now we are that lucky that Ishwar Puri ji been discussing all this so nicely. Of course, it was written in the scriptures. All the saints been telling, my mother been telling, this whole world is not real. We are here. It is just like a dream, But the way Ishwar Puri ji explained it, it really gives you a tremendous amount of understanding about this beautiful concept of understanding multi-level dreams in a dream. So now let me tell you that you, as part of the Absolute, once he was one and alone, he was in bliss, in the stride of bliss, all-knowing, all-pervading. He felt like loving, and to love, he became from one to many. Now, you are part of that. And he been loving you, and you've been loving him. And that's what is the essence. Now, understanding the further part of this, that how this dream came up, as our scriptures also talk about certain things which I am now covering, that as he became from one to many, one out of us, known as Kal, we call him as Dayal. Dayal means the merciful, who will always forgive you. But then one out of us, our colleague, known as Kal, which created this time-bound material creation with its laws. And the third law is understandable that every action has got an equal and opposite reaction. So now this is the creation of one out of us. And once we saw this gentleman, the Kal, who created this time-bound material creation, at that time, you got into a dream that if he can do this, I can also do it. And as soon as you said, I can also do it, you acquired the causal mind from the universal mind after looking into those possibilities. The kind of things, you could see in the whole universe, that how he created material being non-material, 100 and odd elements. Then it created the first galaxy of suns, and then how suns created the other planets. It's a beautiful area. Of course, I have got certain videos, and at a time we shall be sharing this. I will be requesting Barry Kyo to work on it so that all of us can look at those things. We'll try to condense these videos and show you. Now, one out of us has got the ability to create a time-bound material creation, having all those 100 and odd elements. And then, my earth, how the water comes in, how the life starts from a single cell, all that. Now, this is how you started working on it, because you saw a dream. At that level, when you are in totality, the totality of consciousness, that's how is, as I explain in my concept for the children, is that your attention, which is the outer expression of your soul, as you are connected with the absolute. And absolute is like light, like Noor. In Bible, it is known as light. And in Gurbani, it is known as Ek Noor Te Sab Jag Upjo. Everything has come out from that Noor, from that light. We are all part of that light, but then we are connected with the wave. Now, be as that light, the outer expression of my soul, of my creative intelligence, because I could see that one out of us, he created so much. And you can also create. You thought you have got all those capabilities. You are also connected with the absolute. So you as Hans, as Ishwar Puriji explains, you started your journey as Hans. Bans did not come. They were happy there. But now, as Hans, you started your journey and started seeing this dream, that how you will, how you will create your own things. And at the same time, your colleague gave you the mind. You borrowed it from him. As I say, that you have got an acquired mind from the universal mind, which has got all the information systems. As I explained to the children, that 2G, 3G, 6G, internet is all information system, plus it has got laws of nature. As I generally explained, that if the apple falls, the Newton calculates about the laws of nature. And it is inertia, mass, and acceleration. The third law, that every action has got an equal and opposite reaction. So you have borrowed this mind from the universal mind with these laws, that in its domain you are coming. It's like a country, So you have entered this earth or the whole universe. You came through that and you acquired these laws of nature. And now you know that there is, every action has got an equal and opposite reaction. So in your full capabilities, you knew this. Then what you did? You acquired the mind in the form of causal mind. And you created a sketch of a human body to sense, because the reason, the cause was to come and feel the creation. And to procreate further whatever you can. So we all started our journey and we saw this dream. I'm again explaining you that how these multi-level dreams have to be understood today in a simple language. Of course, Ishwar Puriji has explained it beautifully well, that how you create your DVDs there, how you pick up those, bags for your life, for your journey, when you could see all those possibilities and then probabilities, and you started. So that was your first dream, that you want to come up here, and that causal body and the causal mind as a sketch of the human body, to have all these senses to sense the time-bound material creation where you are entering. Now, the second dream you started seeing when you created rather refined the causal mind and causal body, you refined it. I'm explaining that part, please understand this, that you yourself refined the causal mind and the causal body as a sketch into an astral mind and an astral body. Now, here I would like to explain the astral mind and the astral body, which is like a blueprint. Blueprint means, since you are connected with the absolute intelligence and a capable force, I call it, you had all the knowledge, because the source is still connected, but you have become an individual there. And as an individual, you decided this, and you are taking your journey on as a Hans. So you started further. How you started? That you will create the first single cell, very systematic, as per laws of nature. So what you did, you started the first single cell, which you call it, which are taught in the schools, like amoeba. And how this amoeba is made? This is synthesis of proteins. Proteins are compounds of elements. So now you could see, as we explained, that how non-material created 100 and odd elements, and earth came up and the water came in, and all those things are there. Now you decided to come here to make the first single cell. And how that first single cell is made? It is known as synthesis of proteins. Proteins are compounds of elements, 100 and odd elements. Now, these compounds of elements, if you add a drop of amino acid, only then the life starts. Now, it is something hair-raising to understand that how you created that amino acid to synthesize the proteins, to become the first life on earth. So what you did, you are light and sound, my dear, because you are connected. You are that particle of light, and which can see and act in all the directions, connected to its source, which is absolute intelligence and a capable force. So you are light and sound. Please understand this part. As light and sound, if you strike on pure elements, you convert them into amino acids. Darwin's evolution theory explains this part beautifully well. So you, as light and sound, stuck on pure elements as an intelligent being, because science proved this part, that the particle of light behaves intelligently. So this intelligent being, to whom you are representing from the absolute, you are connected, you are representing him. So he's all the time with you, supporting you. He's not away, he's with us. So now what he does, he helps you, gives you those intuitions all the time. And those intuitions made you make that first amino acid by striking on pure elements. This light and sound did this work. And these amino acids synthesize the proteins to become the first single cell, which is known as amoeba, have got the abilities like God. What it does, it is becoming from one to many in the form of that blue-green algae, which children are taught in the schools. Now this blue-green algae as a single cell starts becoming from one to many. And now these cells, they are all intelligent fellows. So some multi-cell organisms came in, they started living together. And this is all a dream, my dear. Look, please understand this part. Now, how systematically you are doing it, you are abiding by the laws of nature, which Carl created. You're going precisely as per that and using those laws. Now, all those single cells became multi-cell, double cell organisms, then multi-cell organism. Then they all started living together because love is the key, even to make this body. So what really happens? They all decide to live together to create a common digestive system for them. And then they created again together a spinal cord, the brain, the connection with each cell. In your own body, you have got 100 trillion cells, and each cell is connected to each other. If there is a small pin pricking on your hand, the cell informs the next cell. And then it informs the next cell, the information goes to your brain, and from there another command comes up to the other hand. So please remove that pin, which is hurting one of your cells. Now, look how lovingly all of them are living together. And then developing. You know how they are developing? Every time you listen, those stories that 8.4 million species. So you kept on graduating. What you did? Again, this is a dream, please don't forget, but very systematic. So what you do, you leave that body which you created together, and that body remains here because it's a time-bound material creation. Every time is gonna decide certain things. It's Carl's world, we have entered there as time-bound, Time means Carl. So then you leave this body here. At the time of death of each species, two things leave the body. One is your mind, which has collected all that information from a single cell to come up to multi-cell organisms and other species, And that is what is the mind, which is carrying all that information. And the energy of the soul, which is connected to its source. Whereas your mind is connected to the universal mind, as per karma theory. And you have rather acquired mind and a created body. So soul became that individual to do all this, getting into a dream, and then furthering that dream of 8.4 million species. And then finally you reach the crown of creation, the human body, my dear. And once you acquired the human body, what happened? You thought you were a body only. Might is right. I'll strike someone and grab everything. So all the tribes been doing this. So the humanity started developing then, and then they could see that they started amassing a lot of information, more information. Because as I was telling you, that whenever you leave this body, all that information in the form of memories of your past lives goes along with the soul, because the soul is carrying that mind, and mind is going to the next body and improving that body to reach the crown of creation, the human body, where you thought you are a body and might is right, and you've been doing all that. Then you started amassing a lot of information. Then you started living your life, looking into that dream again, that I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do that. So with that information, you've been playing. So what happened? That your attention was being used by the mind of a human mind, up to the stage of different species. The soul been using mind and body and graduating here. But what really happened once we became the human beings? We thought we are a body. And now this body and mind started using your soul, and you got grabbed, you got stuck up with time and material, because you never knew that you are a soul. You thought you were a body, or you thought, I know everything. So egos came in. You started amassing a lot of information. Now the saints could see that from those billions of years we've been suffering. Now the Almighty from there, again, he comes taking those dreams, multi-dreams, and coming into this dream where you have reached. So they had gone through that just to hold your hand to take you back. Look at the beauty. As Ishwapuriji been explaining, thousands of lifetimes. Now he invested all that time for you to take you back to the home, to get you this knowledge, which we are discussing today here, is something priceless, you know. This is what is descending, because the language comes from there. The Almighty speaks through people. And that language which is trying to tell the satsangis here is something wonderful, that how these dreams you have taken. Then by looking into the mind, which was amassing a lot of information, information will suck you in. And what this mind is doing, it is connected, this physical mind is connected through the astral mind, through the causal mind, to the universal mind. So that universal mind is operating your mind. You are not, my dear. Because how it does it? The high tide, low tide in the sea, the energies, which I call as universal mind, it has got laws of nature plus information system. These laws of nature, through gravitational magnetic fields, operate the whole cosmos, which is moving. And these forces will make the water of the sea rise up and down. Now, these magnetic gravitational fields are being operated by the universal mind. And in your body, you've got 75–80% water here. So what really happens? That this water boils up here, then it triggers certain components of your brain. Now the brain has got certain areas dealing with lust, anger, ego, attachment, deceit, fears, and worries. They are triggered. And that's how, if they are triggered, your behaviors become that. Now this is how, as per laws of nature, once we are visiting the area of the Kal, which has really created all this, so Dayal comes back because he knows you are suffering and you are not happy here. As Nanak also says, Nanak dukhiya sab sansar, sukhi wahi jo naam adhar. Means the whole world is in torments, you know. The people who are connected with the Naam, they are only happy. Because understanding the Naam with these satsangs which are happening here, for which all the saints came and told you that you are that, so that you can pass through this as it happens, you know. Because let us face as it happens in life, you have got that ability in advance with you, because you have passed through those 8.4 million species. They never had their houses like this. But then you kept on dreaming better and better, but you could not be happy by amassing all that wealth and everything, and you are still stuck up here. Now, to look into this, now he comes and wakes you up out of that dream which is here in this life. Then he tells you, okay, you go to the astral, you see that, then you can see that that astral life is real one and this is a dream. And gradually he helps you to go to the next step in the causal mind, and then you see that causal is real, astral is a dream. Then you further go and then you see that Sachkhand is the real truth, you know. The ultimate truth is that. That's what is your reality. And you could see that these are the dreams, you know. And you had gone through these dreams. Now, how time really involves you to see new dreams every day. That I will do this and this is what will happen. And every now and then you are creating your dreams. Somebody created a dream that he'll make an electric car. As Michael was mentioning, the petrol cars will not be there. Now there will be electric cars. Somebody saw the dream. Somebody could see a dream that he developed that software for your telephones, for your computers, for satellites, for going all into the space. All dreams, my dear. Finally, once we die, that dream is over. Now you have to understand that how to really de-link from your mind also, which is making you see dreams into dreams into dreams. So my dear, please understand, that's why all the saints have come here and they've been telling you that you are here temporarily. Again, we see every day, one of us dies. We cannot be here all the time. Nobody been here. Hardly a small little window of about 100 years. And then in the astral, we have got bigger areas. Now, please understand this, that this is what Ishwar Puriji wanted to tell you, which those intuitions come so that I can correlate those dreams into dreams into dreams. Sometimes we don't understand. You know, initially I did not. Of course, my mother told me that this world is a dream. I was not understanding it. Of course, all those doubts, as Ishwar Puriji tells you, the mind creates doubts. I was listening from my mother, but I was again getting into a doubt. Now you are so lucky, my dear. All my friends, all my colleagues, co-travelers, that Ishwar Puriji comes and tells you the secret of the multi-dreams into a dream. Otherwise, ordinary people in this world don't understand this. We are those limited people in this world, I tell you, who have understood deeply about this. So I got those intuitions. I asked Savita ji that I'll be taking up this particular subject today so that we can all dwell on it. We can understand this part. If there is any problem in understanding these nitty-gritties, I tried my best to explain you with the details in this short talk. But I would like that if there is any anomaly in my explanation, please ask me questions so that we can clarify this. And once you are all clear, you will be the most happiest people during this journey of this particular period. Then you will be free from all the worries, because then you understand this is a dream. Why get hurt by anything? Even the song, the Kabir was saying, and today's Gurbani was also saying this. Every time you listen this, that even you got to love your enemy also. Now this is a dream, my dear. So why not love your enemy? Now I wanted to tell you that, see all those 100 trillion cells in your body. They're all different. Each cell is an independent body. If you donate your kidney, it works in the other body. You donate your heart or anything for that matter, even the eye gets transplanted. Now you can see that single cell in the mother's womb starts becoming from one to many. And each cell is having its own dream, its own work. One of the cells goes to the location of the heart, transforms itself into a cell of a heart, which again becomes from one to many there and forming your whole beautiful heart. A similar cell, that zygote cell, goes down to the kidney, transforms itself into a kidney cell, which is working like a filter. The same cell goes to the eye. I have told you a few times that the eye is more complex than your brain. So what is happening? We have to live in harmony with all of them. Even outside, everybody is the same. Now we got to learn from ourselves that if there is discord, because how the mind is creating a cancer cell in your body, Because what is happening, this mind is spinning you into past and future. Worries. These worries make you sick, my dear. And that is what creates that cancer. Because all these problems are mental. What really happens? Once you are eating something, the attention, the soul, which is working, which is connected to the super soul, which is organizing the whole cosmos 24/7. That energy is running your system, digesting your food, your blood flow is on, your breathing is on, everything is going on 24/7 even in the night. It is working. So that energy is so close to you, and you don't feel that he's with you, he is with you. Now that energy is operating this, and this is how it is all running the system, and we don't understand this part. And they are all living in harmony with each other because all of them have come differently. The cells which we inherit from our mother, which are in my head, we don't reproduce them again. Those cells are responsible to get connected because they are connected to the universal mind. They have got body, mind, and soul. So all the minds of those cells in your brain are connected to the universal mind, which you get it from your mother. You inherit that. You don't reproduce them again. All other cells are in a bhog yoni. They come and go like those 8.4 million species. They'll be forming and new cells will be made. The old ones will go out of your body. So they're like a river, But those cells which you inherit from your mother, that is what is taking care of your karma. And that is how you are going through that. So what I want to tell you here, that how these cells, if you give that attention, which has to digest and run this system to your mind into worries, and those worries will create that cancer. Continuous irritation causes cancer. Because that body, where something has gone wrong due to your karmas, of course, sometimes you drink bad things, alcohol, etc. Sometimes you eat that meat, which has got all those. Once you kill an animal, the poison comes out of his body. And that poison goes into the total system. Because once he is dying, he oozes out of that fear, which we call it that adrenaline levels, something of that kind, because that fear is there to this animal who's being, slaughtered. Now, it produces certain toxins there, which you eat, and then they go and do something in your body. And then that continuous irritation causes cancer because the mind is continuously spinning you into past and future and keeps you worried. That worry takes the attention out, and then something bad happens in your stomach or in your system. The cholesterol starts coming up, the kidney starts getting bad. So all these things happen because we are not running this system in unison with love and devotion. So if we are happier, then we don't get sick. All the doctors have said all the problems, all the diseases are connected to the mind. So here you are going through dreams, and if you know this, there are different levels of these dreams, then you won't bother. You will allow that soul, that creative intelligence, to manage your digestive system nicely till the time you are here. This is a sojourn of the soul. That soul is here for a while, and the human body, where you can get back. As Hans, you will go there, and then you will go dancing. And to make that dancing there, when you meet those buns. So this is what is the journey, my dear. And he has proved this thing in his talks beautifully well, that nothing is past, nothing is future. It is all now. And you have created all this, what you see is now. It's all a dream. So my dear, I did my best to make you understand about multi-level dreams into dreams. And thank you very much for this talk. I think I have overshot my time, and Michael gave me this time, There are many things to talk, but then I keep the timings, in line. So thank you very much for listening.
That was a great talk.
Thank you very much. Thank
I
you
hope
very much.
somebody transcribes it and makes it into a book. Dreams with and called Dreams Within Dreams, and under it says Dr.
I
Chand.
think I'll request Barry Q to really jot down all these talks, put certain videos in that so that people can easily understand, and then we can make those books out of that.
Yeah,
And those books will be handy for all of us. And especially our job is to, awake others. My dear, please understand this, because Master told you many a times that Master is a stone. Wherever you touch that, it converts them into gold. But what Master says, that he converts you into that gem, that you create more gems out of that, so that everybody uses that and becomes a gem. So now, please, this is what I've been working on it, ceaselessly, to develop this particular concept for the children to understand right from the initial years. Now, if the new generation understands this, by that time there won't be diseases. Once they'll be all happy to live. So now let us give to our children, my dear. And I always request all of you to really do that part. I do not know how Isha Foundation we can really approach and then tell Mr. Jagannathan and all others, to really work on it. And Ishwar Puriji agreed with me. He says, come on, you come to Chicago and let us talk about it. Let's think about it. Because I was saying that it has to be right to enlightenment and duty to get enlightened for UN. And through UNESCO, all this curriculum which we are preparing for the children to understand, it is once a week class for 45 minutes. The total chapters for higher education are only for 24 lectures of 1 hour each. That covers up almost everything. So I think
it will bring the golden age. If your idea becomes manifested, inshallah, I hope so, God willing, that it will bring the new age to our next generation.
Yeah, because my mother said, my child should work on science and spirituality when I was in her womb. Imagine how she designed, how all this is flowing in. And I have nothing to say, because I'm not doing it. I know this part. It is all flowing. It comes from there, my dear. As I explained that the language comes from beyond. It comes to this area at the center of behind the eyes, at the seat of the soul. Then the soul hands over this language to the mind. And mind is ignorant. So what it adds on what it deals with. What it deals with? Lust, anger, ego, attachment, deceit, fears, and worries. Information and laws of nature. Then it starts, blabbering out. It ignores the soul, takes over. And then all the electrical movements, because the mind triggers the brain through high tide, low tide. And then it goes all over your body, including the central diaphragm. The body language gets formed. And then the language comes from these lungs, this trachea, larynx, pharynx, and then you speak that language. 2 places the pollution has been added, my dear, by the mind and by the body needs, which are hunger, clothes, housing, vanities of the world, sex, and sleep. Now, such a beautiful concept, my dear. It solves all those problems of this life, because the soul, the qualities of the soul have got all the solutions of life, my dear. Mind does not have, because these are all, they are not sustainable areas. Lust, anger, ego, attachment, deceit, fears, and worries are not sustainable at all. Whereas the qualities of the soul are sustainable. Love, compassion, mercy, forgiveness, wisdom, humility, state of heart planning and its execution ability, let us face as it comes, justice. These have got all the solutions of your life, my dear. It will keep you happy. So this is what the children need to know. Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you.
Okay, 5 minutes of meditation and then I'll play master.
Path is not meant for you. This path is not meant for those who say we are very happy and enjoying here. Go ahead, enjoy. Your time has not come. When your time will come, you yourself feel, I've had enough of it. 1 week later, the guy came back to me. My life is miserable. My life is miserable. So and so left me, ditched me, this thing, all emotional problems he began to recount. So sometimes it looks like we are trying to appease ourselves by saying, no, no, everything is all right here. The truth is, it's not all right here. The truth is that in the balance of pain and pleasure here, in the balance of happiness, unhappiness here, it looks unhappiness prevails more than happiness. And there's a reason for this. Actually, it's very balanced. Happiness and unhappiness in this world is equal. We don't feel it like that. And the reason was explained by an English author, Oscar Wilde. He says, in an essay on suffering, he says, suffering is one long moment. When you suffer, time stretches, becomes long. When you're happy, time contracts, it passes very quickly. You're having good time, an hour can pass, looks like 5 minutes. You're unhappy, 5 minutes looks like an hour. Even though the happiness and unhappiness is equal in this world, we experience happiness less time and unhappiness over a longer period of time. That's why we say it's an unhappy place to be in. When we discover that our unhappiness is now not bearable, we say we want to get out of here. And there's no way to get out of the trap. We move in and around the trap all the time. We go out looking for happiness here. We try to find relationships here. We try to find friends here. We try to make companionships here. Forgetting none of them are able to reach our souls. They are skin deep relationships, all of them here. And sooner or later we find this is not what we were looking for. What we are looking for is our own truth, our own companionship, our own self, a self that is our best friend. And we can't see our own self. We see the covers as ourself. How can we possibly see the self inside us when we can't withdraw and we're taking the world as real? There's a way. Our own self, which creates the experience outside, also creates the experience of our own self outside. How does it do that? In the form of another human being at the same level, human level, physical level, where we can have access to these things. And that person comes into our life and seems to know more about us than we know, which makes us feel, how can this person know more than we know? Because that person is no other than the projection of our own true self. Such a person we call a perfect living master in this world. A perfect living master is not really a teacher. He is not come here to explain things. There are plenty of people doing that. He comes here as a projection of your own self to take you back to your own self. And therefore, a perfect living master's work here is not to change the world, not to improve the conditions of the world, not to set up new movements, not to campaign for something, but to take the souls from who have projected him out, to take them back to their truth. Therefore, the perfect living master is actually inside us, being projected outside. And what proof do we have of that? When you go into this kind of meditation, you discover that a human being you thought was outside of you was actually inside. And you can meet that person inside. And the companionship with that person remains the best friendship that you can have, outside and inside. And that companionship and friendship lasts throughout the spiritual journey to your totality, to your true home. And therefore, in the true home, you discover that was your own self, own real self, that you are watching all the time as your companion. It's an amazing way this has all been set up. And it's wonderful that when we are a seeker, we can find such a person. The qualification of a seeker is no more than to seek. The qualification of a perfect living master is no more to be in touch with that level of consciousness at all times while in the human body. If a perfect living master has to meditate to go there, he's still a novice, still trying to find out. We go from stage to stage in our meditational experiences. A perfect living master in a human form is at all stages, at all times, while he's still here. That's why he operates at all levels at the same time. And that's why there's a big difference. He does not come to say he's a teacher, he's a master, he's come for anything. He just says, I'm a friend of yours. And I've come in response to your call, in response to your seeking. So the only secret is seek, and you will find. Don't have to seek by shouting outside. Seek in your heart. And how will such a human being, an ordinary human being like yourself, find you then? Because if he can't listen to your seeking, then he's not a perfect living master. And if he can listen, then he must function within the laws of this universe to find you. And that method by which he finds is called coincidence. By coincidental means, you find that person. And make sure, in the beginning, your own mind, which has the capacity to create doubt and capacity to create fear, will do that. But the unconditional love that flows from the perfect living master overcomes that doubt and overcomes those questions. Nothing beats the mind except unconditional love. When that experience takes place, the mind is silenced. Otherwise, the mind will constantly say, I have more questions, I have more questions, I have to find out. But the perfect living master overcomes all these things. I have shared these experiences with you because they all lie within you. And you who are seekers, that's why you have been here. And I've been seeking, maybe for lifetimes. It's not a one-day thing. Seeking is not a one-lifetime thing. People have had experiences lifetime over lifetime. And at the right time, they come across this stage when they're ready to go back and see their own home. I hope you will all get a chance to have experiences with perfect living masters, and that you will be able to achieve what your soul wants to achieve, to go back home and experience everything I've been talking to you about. We'll have a short session of questions and answers. There is also a list of people given to me, those seeking interviews. I noticed that if I gave interviews to all the people on the list, we'll have to spend late into midnight. So there are so many of you who are old friends of mine, had many interviews before, and therefore I thought they might like to give a chance to those who have not had a chance to have personal one-on-one talk. So therefore we decided that we'll start the list from those who have come from overseas, long distances. Let them have a chance. Those who have never met me before, let them come up that. And if there's still time, we'll pick up the list of the other names. Those who may not be able to get time today, we have a rule now, we'll put their names on the next event at the top. So they will not miss the next interview. I hope that will be satisfactory. Thank you very much for very patient listening. Anybody has any question? There's one questioner here.
The first question is, I am very concerned about the deteriorating state of the environment and social injustice. Humanity's role in causing both of these problems. If I am a spiritual seeker, then how should I deal with these concerns?
When we are in this world, we address all the concerns as we would with all diligence, with all the effort we can put in, because that's part of the show. When we are acting on the stage, we do not depart from the script, and we do our act as best as we can. Even knowing that we are seekers and this is illusion, we still function like good actors on a good stage. Therefore, we should do all our part to help in the environment and social problems.
The next question. Please elaborate and confirm if your A, technique of meditation will enable me to reach my goal to purify my thoughts, mind, speech, and action so that I can be fully aligned with my real nature that is absolute pure. And B, how does it do it?
I thought I was talking about that all the time. But I must say, when you talk of purity, only the soul, the spirit is pure. Everything else that is added on has some element of impurity. As we move further and further away from the soul, the impurity increases. As we go towards our own true soul, the purity comes up. So the pure thing is our soul, our consciousness. Thank you.
The next question is the path of this meditation the fastest to go back to the true home, i.e., is there another path? Do we not need a perfect living master for the above? And if so, who is that perfect living master today?
Yes, this is the fastest path in this age. In this age, which is an age called Iron Age or Kali Yuga, there are distractions are so many that this path, which has two parts, the part of concentrating our attention behind and the path of being pulled inside by the voice sound of consciousness. These are two aspects of it, and they are the fastest available at this time that take us to our true home. There are many paths which take us halfway, a quarter way, and there's no harm in traveling on those paths and going part of the way and then waiting to find the next master who can take us above. A perfect living master takes us to our true home, but many masters are there who can help us go part of the way. So long as we are going within to discover the truth, we are in the right direction. If somebody says the truth can be found on the peak of a mountain or in a river or somewhere outside, then we are not going in the right direction. Then it can take longer. So long as go within ourselves, there are several paths that will go either part of the way or more of the way. And a perfect living master takes us to the whole way.
The next question. If the soul only listens and the mind only speaks and consciousness only listens to consciousness, how does the soul communicate with the mind?
The soul uses the mind for communication. All communication with anybody, including itself, is done with the mind. Communication itself is a mental act. Therefore, the soul is not it's a listener, not a hearer. The difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is hearing of speech in time and space. Listening is beyond that. Therefore, the soul is a listener and mind is being used to speak. So all communication that the soul wants to do is by use of the mind. And mind then translates into language and speaks. Language is a very local element for communication in the physical world. We do not use language anywhere else except in the physical world, where we have several languages. You'll be surprised that if you go to one step higher to the astral plane, a person can speak Greek and the other person doesn't know Greek will understand. Because the meaning is transmitted and not the language. Language are just symbols. Language are phonetic symbols. They're just sounds made into words and into language. And therefore, they are only good for use here in the physical world. People who have had telepathic experiences, even in this world, physical world, because telepathic experience is not a physical use of language. If you make a telepathic communication with somebody in one language, the other person doesn't know, they'll still understand it. Because that's exactly how astral communication takes place. As communication goes higher, it becomes a different kind of listening and different kind of speaking. But we are talking of communication with the mind, which is generally in language over here. So if the soul wants to direct the mind what to do, say, mind, don't think randomly, repeat these words. The soul uses, the consciousness uses the mind itself to say these words. So the communicator, the speaker, is always the mind, even if the soul wants to use it.
The next question. You teach that our souls have never stopped being one with God. If this is so, then is the soul infinite in size? Please describe the soul.
The soul, as we understand, is unit of consciousness. It's the many in the one. That's the soul. Consciousness is one indivisible power. Indivisible power of totality of consciousness, and the many are within that totality. And when they believe they are individuated, which is the first level of illusion, they become souls.
The next question. We are always told effort is futile. Only love and devotion takes you to the highest stage. But if we make meditation schedules, plans, etc., isn't that effort?
The mind loves effort, and therefore we say start with effort. If the mind did not love effort, if the mind was not coming in the way, no effort would be needed. But since we are operating in this life with the mind has been trained. You will get nothing unless you put in effort. You have to struggle to make everything. You will get nothing unless you do this. The mind has been conditioned to believe this. So when the mind begins to absorb the teachings and says, I will do my best. A friend of mine studying at Harvard University once wrote to me, he said, I find that the effort is not the real way. You have to be effortless. And an effortless state of being is the real way to go to a higher level of consciousness. So at the end he wrote, I am trying very hard to be effortless. It's the nature of the mind. Nature of the mind. And as we rise above the mind, we find we'll never need effort. Then we say, what else is replacing effort? It's the grace, love and devotion and grace flowing from a master that is giving us the input to go higher. But what is grace then? We find later that grace is also what made us put in effort, when effort was necessary for us.
The following question. Do all living things have souls, either levels or a hierarchy of these souls? How do I overcome my negative desires that absorb so much of my time so that I may spend more time studying and meditating to achieve my goal and to find my way to my true name, my true home.
The soul has no levels or hierarchies. The soul is the same. It's the same soul in all of us. It's the same quality of soul in the plants, in the animals, in the insects, in the angels, in the gods. Soul is no different. Soul is the unit of consciousness. What creates the hierarchy is the embodiment in which it is placed. When we put into different embodiments, a human being becomes different. A tree becomes different. A plant is different. Animal is different. Mammal is different. Bird is different. These are creating a hierarchy. The forms on which the soul has been put in for certain experiences. It is not that the soul has a hierarchy. About the desires, yes, we have so many worldly desires that the mind pulls us out all the time. And these desires are the ones that are keeping us from meditation, from going within. Once you start meditating, there are inside fulfillments. There is a rejoicing and a fulfillment of desire inside, which is superior to the desires outside. And therefore, once you get that taste of what is happening inside, the desires fade away. Actually, our mind functions on that basis. If it desires something, likes something, you give it something better, it begins to give up the one that it likes less. It's the same thing that when we go into meditation and we find something more tasty and more delicious than what we get outside, then the desires outside begin to fall off.
The next question. Virtually all people here think that salvation is through a past master. I'm silent about the path because people of one religion think that their path is elitist, saying we are the right path and they are on the wrong path. It makes me feel divided from mankind.
It's very interesting that most of the religions of the world, and I studied in Harvard University 13 religions in comparative religious study, they all think that their past master, the founder of the religion, was the master, and they look back on the history of that master, how he helped people who were around him. And then they think that the spirit of that master is still helping us. Maybe the spirit is helping is difficult to find out when you want to meditate upon a past master, whether it's your mind being worshipped or the master being worshipped. I have still to find any method by which you can distinguish between the mind being worshipped and the master being worshipped when there is no human being to tell you no. In those masters' cases also, it was they themselves in human form, and all of them were in human form, that they were able to tell people what their mind is saying and what the totality of consciousness is saying. They were able to distinguish. Even today it's the same thing. That if you have no human being able to point out to you that your mind is making up something, you are misled by the mind. There's no corrective to that at all. And that's one of the very big drawbacks in believing in even a perfect living master of the past who is not there to tell you. That is why the system works on this basis, that when you are a human being and you need instruction for something, you should have a human being who can tell you, who is enlightened enough, has gone above, beyond you, and can give an answer to your question. If you say you have a belief inside, and you're listening to another person who's also having belief inside, and all the preachers are telling what they're believing, a belief system can be totally made up by the mind, and you can be misled by the mind. Indeed, there is nothing else that misleads us more than our own mind. And that is why there's a great danger in doing that. And that is why these perfect living masters have come and said that look at the history of all the founders of religions. They did their work when they were human beings here. And they did it for that time. And therefore, they even said, they take advantage of us while we are here. They even said so. And we still make religion after them. And then what happens to religion? The spiritual message, which was delivered so eloquently and so convincingly by these masters, we have converted them into rituals and ceremonies and so on. So much of the time which is supposed to be spent in meditation and going within is spent in outside rituals, in outside activities in the name of religion. So that is why that has been a big drawback, that spirituality in becoming religion has given up true spiritual methods and even true spiritual meditation. We have shifted from meditation more to worship. And when we go into worship, we are most of the time worshipping our own mind by making an image of something that we believe is a master. People talk to me about their masters living in the Himalayas, ascended masters living there. And I tell them, tell me a convincing reason that your mind is not making it up. People in India believe in birds being enlightened. And when a bird speaks to them in their mind, it's their mind speaking. Most of the time, the danger is that the mind speaks to us and misleads us, and we think we are talking to a master or to an enlightened being. Therefore, there is nothing like having a perfect living master living in a human form who is enlightened enough while talking to us to be able to speak from the truth and tell us this is where we are right, this is where we are going wrong. So that is why I know that most of us have been tied down by religion. We have been conditioned by religion. We have been so conditioned that it takes sometimes a lifetime, half a lifetime. People have come from different religions and become seekers at a certain time when they felt religion was not giving them the right answer. They were looking for reality, they were looking for true answers inside them, and then they had to look for a perfect living master in spite of the fact that their own religion was teaching the same thing. But they had nobody to correct them, nobody to guide them. Therefore, guidance is needed. It's very similar to a situation in the world that if somebody says, I want to be treated by a dead doctor, he won't be treated. I want to be taught by a professor who died 100 years ago, that professor is not going to teach you. And if you think you can imagine that teacher, then you are being taught by your own mind and not by a teacher. So that's why these perfect living masters have come and said that if you want true guidance, find a perfect living master over here. They also say, don't find. They say you don't have to find even. Just seek inside, let the master find you. And that's what happens. If you are a seeker, the master will find you. So that is why be content with seeking rather than going back into something that has not solved the problems. How many people have been able to overcome even basic problems of anger, jealousies, going into churches, going into mosques, and here are the religions saying itself, the kingdom of God is within you. This is the living temple of the living God. They describe the physical body like that. Religion has described, and we go outside on man-made buildings and we say they are the house of God. Well, the house of God is the one running around all over, hurting people, talking ill of people, doing various kinds of things, and not going within to find out what is inside. Therefore, remember, the true temple, the true church, the true mosque, the true synagogue is this body. If anybody from any religion wants to go and find the truth, this is where you have to go in. It's all inside, not outside.
Second to the last question. Tell us about the origin of love and God and the living master, the eternal bliss.
The origin is in the nature of consciousness itself. I was mentioning to you how thoughts occur at the causal stage, because all thoughts take time and involve space. But there are functions we are having right now which do not take time and which do not involve space. Those functions are love, intuition, joy. Imagine when these things happen to us, there is no thought involved, there's no time involved. It is immediate, instantaneous, with nothing to stop it. These functions are purely functions of the soul itself. They are not functions of the mind. Therefore, even now, we are having these functions of joy, bliss, beauty, appreciation of beauty, love, intuitive knowledge, sudden gut feeling. They are all coming from the soul. So the nature of consciousness has love as its main ingredient in it. And that is why ultimately it is love that pulls us back to our soul and to our totality of consciousness. The masters, perfect living masters, do not come here to train the mind or to tell us how to make a better mind. They pull us with their unconditional love. Because they pull our soul, which has inbuilt love in it. Love is an ingredient of soul itself. And therefore, their method is to take us with love from wherever we are trapped into our height beyond the mind. No pathway is existing except love beyond the mind. Therefore, love is a very essential ingredient of consciousness itself.
Jesus was a perfect living master. Is it true that he went to India when he was young to become enlightened? How do we know this? How did his teachings become so abortive?
There is historical evidence. I was also interested in this question at one time. I was interested because in Kashmir, a state of India, there's a dispute going on, but there's a state of India called Kashmir. There's a grave, and it says it's the grave of Jesus the Christ. And it says that he died there. It also says that he had gone away from India and was in India only for the first 17 years of his life. The whole history of him is there. So therefore, they say that he did not really die on the cross. He was taken from the cross and crossed the Mediterranean. And some books have been written on this, historical books saying that he was taken to India, he spent most of his time there because the earlier part of his life also he spent there. Now, it's a question of going into this evidence or the religious belief that he died on the cross for all of us, which Christianity believes, and therefore he could not have gone anywhere. These are two schools of thought that are still going on. The historical evidence that we see is that he did spend time in Buddhist monasteries in India in the first 17 years of his life, and toward the end when he was crucified, he was able to escape through various sources are given there and taken to the Mediterranean from where he took a boat. And there are some stations on the way where he stopped, where there's also some historical evidence of his being there. And then he went to India, he was connected very much. His teachings were very similar to teachings that were then prevalent in Hinduism and Buddhism, and therefore that one gets a little surprised. The most striking thing that struck me was that in the most ancient Indian text, the Vedas, in the Rig Veda, the Veda that deals with spirituality, the opening sentence is that in the beginning, there was the Nard, the sound, and the sound created everything. And it's not a sound that can be heard or written or something. It's a creative power that is resonating and creating all universes. And then I read in John's Gospel, in the Bible, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and all things were made by him, and nothing was made that was not made by him. These are such similar sentences in the two scriptures that I said there must be some connection between all teachers of spirituality, wherever they came. And that is why it's for an investigator to find out how much history is available to us or not. But the truth remains. No matter whether Jesus went to India or not, no matter where he went or did not go, he did his job very well. And now we have to find a perfect living master who can do the same job.
We are told
Let's try today meditation behind the eyes with love and devotion, where you visualize your beloved and you express your love to the beloved in the best way you can and see the results of it. Please assume that your body is your house and you are sitting on the 6th floor of that house behind the eyes. First, establish yourself in the meditation chamber behind the eyes, then visualize your beloved, then start any kind of meditation you want, including Simran, listening to the sound, or conversation with the Master.